5 of my favorite traits that were added. Okay, 5 of my favorite new traits that were added. So we're not looking at the base game traits. Those are all gold traits. We're looking at just the new ones, the green ones and the red ones. So not really in any particular order. So I'm just going to start here. My first favorite trait, straightforward, negative trait. More likely to fall for traps and get ambushed. Damage taken will also increase. So there's a lot going on with this trait. First thing, the unit that has straightforward gets a debuff towards spotting traps. That's the first thing. Secondly, when you do get ambushed, the ambush lasts longer. And you do take more damage, just like it says. Now, interesting thing about taking more damage. This also works if you hit or get hit with the immobilize stratagem. You know, that it paralyzes the army. It's because, I guess it's the same effect. I think if you get hit with straightforward, it's considered that immobilization stratagem. You know, that icon comes up. So, if you have straightforward, or you hit the enemy with straightforward, keep in mind that that stratagem also works, which is kind of crazy because that stratagem doesn't really need more gas. It's already good enough. Okay, that stratagem is already gassed up pretty high, but this makes it even more useful. You will get a little prompt when you hit an enemy unit that has straightforward. That'll say, they'll have something. Well, they'll say, you know, cowards fight head on or something like that. Only cowards use trickery. I can't remember exactly. I've had it happen to me multiple times, a lot. Why do I love this trait, man? Negative traits. You need negative traits. You need to, it helps flesh out characters, right? So, now here I've got one of the poster boys, okay, of straightforward. Because I'm going to go through and edit a lot in this game, okay? I already own the game. I might as well go through and take advantage of the trait system to flesh out the characters more. So, now this is Koei. Koei gave Sun Jian the straightforward trait, which is very appropriate. One thing I'll say, if you're going to edit your characters, right, don't be afraid to give some of these guys some negative traits. You know, especially if you know the source material, right? You know how Sun Jian, yes, he was great, okay, but you know how he met his fate, okay? You know how he met his fate. Don't be afraid to give some of these guys a red trait to pair with their, you know, broken golden trait. You know, a lot of these guys, like a lot of these top guys, have serious drawbacks in the novelization. Sun Jian's was definitely straightforward. I can't think of anyone that's more of a poster boy for falling for it, for taking the bait as much as Sun Jian. So, this is my first favorite trait of the 5 new ones. First favorite one is straightforward. I have more to say about negative traits, but let's get to the next person because I've got my Commandos. Holy shit. You want to talk about a strong cornerstone, right? Something that you can build around. Commandos. Ambush states will not be canceled when moving outside a forest and waste. Also, your movement will not be lowered when in an ambush state. This is literally stealth. It just, if you played an RPG, when you get a stealth trait as literally running a stealthy character, you're running a rogue or something, right? That's what this is. You push the button, now you're invisible to the enemy. That's what Commandos is. Okay? Ambush state is not the enemy has to like basically run into you. Okay? Anything that ignores an established rule in any video game is prime. That's fertile ground to be abused. Right? That's fertile. Anything that says, hey, you know how we establish this rule? Here's the thing that completely ignores it. That's what you look for, okay? From a competitive standpoint, that's what you look for to abuse. How do I, because my opponent has to play with the rule that I don't have to play with, right? Anything that has the rules for thee, not for me effect. And then when you're playing a single player game, this is just fun to abuse. Like to come out with, I mean, imagine Commandos with like Deng Ai's raid ability, which increases your movement. Actually, Deng Ai's raid goes with another trait that I really like on this list as well. But it works with this too. Anyway, turning your guys into permanent ambush spots is crazy. Okay? You no longer have to care about the terrain that you're in. You can just, wherever you want to go, you can go and you'll still get your ambush in. Now, one of the best, to show you guys, one of the best people in this game that I've seen that has the commando trait, Chan Yu. Now, Chen Yu in the novel is his specialty. You might be wondering, why the hell did they give Chen Yu this ability, right? Chen Yu's actually known for ambushes. It's kind of his specialty in the novel, which is weird because we're talking about a guy who is around for a very long... I mean, this guy's already kind of old when he joined South South. Anyway, this is the guy for Commandos. Plenty of units have it. Nobody does it like this guy. Chen Yu can hit you with Commandos, potentially keep you locked in because he also has tricks, which has a chance to confuse you. So he can play it that route. Also, Chen Yu is one of the few guys who has Instigate to follow up, which Instigate lowers the morale of enemies. So Chen Yu can jump out, hit you with an ambush that he shouldn't be able to hit you with, right? Because Commandos. So he'll be in a spot where you don't expect him to be in, hit you with an ambush, your morale's lowered, you're frozen, and then he can hit you with an Instigate, talk shit to you while you're stunned from the ambush, and plummet your morale. He has the ability to nuke somebody, okay? Because of Commandos. This is nuke from orbit. That's what Chen Yu has. This guy's just crazy. Remember that he has tricks. So the way that you can play this, you get stunned, you get shit talked, your morale goes down, you get hit, you get stunned again. Absolutely crazy. Commandos it's what I want to see more of in this game. Koei moving forward with their trait system, that's what I want to see more of. More build around abilities. Okay, so that's the next one. Number 2 on this list, Commandos. Okay, so the next trait on this list, Intellectual Woman. When using a tactic, there is a low chance that the tactic will become usable again. Straight up RNG. This is just the slot machines, right? Blackjack. When you hit, best feeling in the world, okay? When you get there, when you get that hit and you get to reuse your tactic, it's just hard to describe. It's basically Prodigy, okay? This is Prodigy, but some of the time, which is arguably better because it's RNG, okay? So, mostly, of course, this is going to be on female officers, although I don't see anything really stopping you from putting it on a male officer if you wanted to, right? The only thing about it is the percentage. I feel like it's 10%, somewhere around 10. I don't think it's even 20%. I feel like it's like a 10% of the time. So you want a character that has a big toolkit. Okay, you want a character that has the more tactics that you can choose from, the more you can, the more quarters you bring to the slot machine, the more you can keep pulling that lever, and keep hoping that. So you want a lot of tactics when you're using Intellectual Woman. You get to reuse your tactic. Again, this is a toolbox. That's what it supports. Anybody who likes to have a lot of options. The character that I chose for this one, there's a lot of, did I accidentally click off for other trait? I think I did. I think it was Discernment. Was their other trait. Anyway, the character I picked was Wang Yi, as you guys can see. Yeah, Discernment. This is just a throw. A lot of the female officers have stuff that their secondary traits are kind of throwaway traits, like Discernment, for example. Will suffer no damage from trap or ambushes. Here's the thing about this game. This game already has so much overwhelmingly easy, positive kid gloves. This game already treats its players with kid gloves so much. We actually need the opposite of this. Okay, that's why I like straightforward. Stuff like discernment, we don't need. It's a throw, like, will suffer no damage. I don't need yet another safety net, another get out of jail free card, another slap on the wrist. You know, oh, it's okay, you made a mistake, but we're gonna let it go this time. I already have all the acts. This game gives you so much accident forgiveness. Like, I wish Koei would get into the car insurance business, which with the amount of accident forgiveness baked into this game. Well, they couldn't, because they go out of business. But I wish they would get into the car insurance business with the amount of forgiveness that they give in this game. You don't need stuff like this. You want to get further away from this. You want to embrace more straightforward mentality, more straightforward traits. Anyway, back to Intellectual Woman. Again, I picked Wang Yi. She has really good starting intelligence. Solid starting tactics, because remember, she adds her ability to the unit, so you can build out a unit that has a ton of, you could build out a unit that has a ton of tactics and has Intellectual Woman, and then you have somebody who's got Prodigy, and you get to reuse one, and then selectively you'll get to reuse some more, right? If you wanted to if you wanted to build it up as much as you wanted to, right? But I picked Wang Yi because having Rouse and Inspire, with the way that I play with morale settings based on low, and, go check out the run that we're doing on the channel if you want to know more. The type of runs that I do on the channel, I should say. Anyway, this is my focus, but there's a couple of other characters, like Bianchi, for example. She's got Intellectual Woman, and she has Cure instead, which arguably getting an extra cure with how strong Cure is in this game, that might be more important to you. Whatever it may be, Intellectual Woman is so great. Again, it's such a strong tool. It's almost cornerstone worthy. It's just some of these traits are really, in this PUK, are inspiring for ideas, Not even necessarily for how to break stuff, but just cool shit. You know what I mean? Oh, that's cool. I can make some cool shit with this. That's, you know what I mean? That's as far as it gets for me, and that's enough. Anyway, Intellectual Woman. Okay, the next trait. Trait number 4. You want to talk about cornerstone with Commandos. Mounted Archer. Mounted Archer, okay, increases mobility when marching with archer units. You want to talk about Commandos being a cornerstone, a great building block for absurd, broken stuff. Mounted archers, and this is snipers, okay, this is sniping. That's what this is. Increases mobility when marching with archer units. Your archer units already have a ranged advantage, okay? Having extra mobility built into range in anything, but again, we're talking a strategy game, it's just busted. This is the Genghis Khan, the Eastern from the steeps mounted archers. That's what they're emulating. They hit it right on the nose. Now, I think, somebody correct me in the comments, I think it's just 1 extra hex. Might be 2. I think it's just 1. Even 1 is already insane. Again, you're an archer unit, so you already have more movement. More range. Now you're pairing more movement. Combined with stuff like Far Shot, where you can shoot far away to begin with. Now you can dash in, dash out. Dash in, get a couple of hits in, dash out, your opponent can't reach you, and then you just bleed them dry. This is just a fun trait. It's strong. It can be absolutely busted. But you can also just play it and just do, again, cool shit with it. So the character I picked, Sun Shangxian. She has Battlefield Flawsm, which is just blah. You get an extra 10 morale. Not a terrible thing, but I feel like the female officers could have so much more, and they're kind of being held back again, right? But 84 strength, she gets a lot of mileage out of her hits with Mounted Archer. And then when we look at abilities, she is the Mounted Archer. Okay, in my mind, this is the Mounted Archer. She has archery capped. She's going to get the maximum bonus for archer units. And she has volley, fire arrows, and the all-important far shot. Attack an enemy unit from 3 hexes away. 3 hexes, guys. And she's got it capped. So, this Mounted Archer makes me think immediately glass cannon. You can create a glass cannon force where it's just like, we want strength, we want arbalest, we don't care about defense because they're never going to hit us. They're never going to reach us. And we're just going to shoot, boom, and run away. Shoot, run away, shoot, run away. Maybe have one guy pull, one tank pull, and everyone else just psh, 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 in and out, boom, 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 boom. So strong. So fun. 3 hexes away. On top of increased movement. And then that's, speaking of Deng Ai's trait, what I was saying earlier, we're not even talking about the fact, like, what if we paired her? What if you paired her with Deng Ai's trait? But what if we paired her with something like Mountain Raid? When joining the battles, commander or staff officer increases mobility over mountains. So now whenever she's leading over mountains, which mountains already kill movement, she gets a bonus to movement, plus she gets the Mounted Archer trait. Plus she has stuff like Far Shot to keep them away. Like, you can really stack, and you guys know that movements, anything that buffs movement is always potentially breaking in a game. Or you can give her Fearless. Negates plot tactics and zones of control when morale is above 70. I don't think you would need this, but you can give her Fearless to cover her so that if she would get into a spot where ZOC would pin her down, she can still get out and ignore it. Untouchable. Just think of this combination, right? Think of like a created character. You you make Genghis Khan, for example, and you just can't reach him, or Attila. Pick your favorite Steeps character, and you just give him Mounted Archer, Fearless, and you just make him something that it just dodging in and out. You can't reach him, you can't hit him, and you just focus everything into attack power. And then picture 4 or 5 unit compositions with 1 Mounted Archer in each of them. You know what I mean? That would be, I'm telling you, there's some of these traits are really exciting. They give the game some dynamic play that we just didn't have before. My favorite part of the game. Okay, so the 5th and final trait, probably tied for my favorite trait in the game. Okay, is Flustered. Your number of soldiers will decrease when your stronghold is destroyed or when you receive a status effect. Don't forget that second part. That second part is very important. Okay. This isn't as good if you don't have that second part. Okay. So when your stronghold is destroyed or when you receive a status effect, you lose about somewhere between 30 to 50% of your troops every turn when your stronghold is destroyed or while you're under a status effect. So what is a status effect? If you're confused, if you've been hit with immobilized, you can't move. This negative trait is so good because it adds another layer. Just like Straightforward adds a layer, Flustered adds a huge layer to the battlefield that you have to consider now in this game. This will trigger if your stronghold is destroyed, which means now protecting your stronghold might matter. But whenever you receive a status effect, you'll lose a ton of troops until your guy recovers. Until he recovers. So if I get hit and I get confused for 2 turns, 3 turns, every single turn, I'm losing troops until I recover. Okay? The stratagems also hit you. Okay? If you get hit with, I can't think of the 2 stratagems right now. The immobilized stratagem, eyes everywhere, and the other one. I can't think of the other one. Anyway, if you get hit with the stratagem, that changes the status effect, that forces it through, right? Fluster triggers. So Flustered has a ton of ways. It has enough ways to trigger that it adds a layer to the battlefield. A new strategic layer where you have to consider and play around this trait a little bit. In my opinion, this is a trait that should have been a global effect, just like Straightforward. Straightforward should have been something that shouldn't be trait tied, okay? If they wanted, Koei should have made the game more tactics focused instead of more Dynasty Warriors, right? Dynasty Warriors versus Dynasty Tactics. This game is more, we want Dynasty Warriors. But you can, and this trait points to the fact that there used to be a build for this game that was probably more tactics focused, okay? This game was probably more tactics focused. This game was probably closer to Dynasty Tactics. And at some point in development, they said, you know what? It's too slow. Let's speed it up. So let's get rid of a lot of the things that you have to account for, and let's get a little bit more Rock'em Sock'em robots. Let's move a little bit away. Let's get away from the chess. What does this piece do? What are its strengths and weaknesses? And let's get a little more checkers. You know, I have link. I do 50% link damage for 8,000 soldiers. I get hit for 6,000 soldiers. I hit back for 10,000 soldiers. He hits me for 4,000. I win. He loses. Right? Checkers. I'm jumping over 2 to 3 pieces. You jump over 2 to 3 pieces, and we're done in 5 minutes. Right? Versus chess, I have to consider the pawns, the knights, the rooks, my queen, my strongest piece. You know, you have to consider all of that versus checkers. So it's my opinion, and I don't know, that the game got away from the chess, it got away from the tactics, and it went more towards the checkers, more towards the warriors, the Dynasty Warriors play. But there's still ideas like this that are left over, and they put them in traits, okay? Flustered feels like a trait that should have just been a mechanic, a game-wide mechanic. If your stronghold's destroyed, you lose a ton of troops. Everybody loses some troops. And maybe there's an intelligence check or a charisma check. RNG. If your charisma's high enough, if your charisma's high enough, your troops continue to follow the retreat. The troops continue to follow Liu Bei as he runs away from Cao Cao because his charisma is that high. It doesn't matter that they've lost their homeland. They're going to keep running away towards Changban Slope because they believe in Liu Bei. His charisma is high enough, or his leadership's high enough, right? Whatever it is. This feels like they condensed it down, just like Straightforward. Straightforward, if you fall for an ambush, it should be more severe in this game. It should open everyone up to more damage, not just the guy who has Straightforward, right? Everyone who's thrown into confusion should suffer more damage from an ambush because there's the formations in shambles, right? But instead they put it into a trait. They said, no, let's not make it global. Let's just put it into a trait that you have to account for once in a while with an officer. So anyway, that's my ramble on the philosophy of the game and how it's changed, right? Poster boy for Flustered is Yuan Shao. The poster boy. When I think Flustered, which is a combination, by the way, of indecisiveness and also somebody who's piling mistake on top of mistake, right? Flustered, frustrated, unable to move on. You just keep making another fucking mistake on top of another mistake, and you can't catch your breath. You can't simmer down. You just keep making more and more mistakes. Or just indecisive. This is the guy, Yuan Shao, okay? This is not his starting trait. I edited this in. But it's perfect for him, okay? Yuan Shao's indecisiveness leading to his disaster was foreshadowed in the novel many, many, many times, leading up to the epic loss at the Battle of Wu Chao, right? Everything leading up to that was foreshadowed. This guy had a career of being indecisive and not being able to stick to a decision. I mean, it's frustrating. I'm a Yuan Shao fan. It's frustrating, okay? This is the guy to give it to. Again, don't be afraid to give some of these really strong generals some negative drawback, especially if you know the source material, so you can stick to it better. A lot of these really strong generals, for example, Yuan Shao, They gave him magnetic, which again is just a throwaway trait. So give them something interesting. Okay, don't be afraid to give your guys something cool. Simple. You know what I mean? We have the editing tools, take advantage of it. So anyway, those are 5 traits that I really, really dig in this PUK. Really fucking dig them. There are others. I might do another video, I might not. The Yuans are probably going to be my first rework, so I might do a rework video for them because I plan on going through his faction and just adding a lot of stuff, mostly negative traits to make the battles, you know, more back and forth. Again, I like more chess space versus checkers. You know, I'm not really concerned with speed, with how fast I get through something. I just want to enjoy it. That's, you know what I mean, just want to have fun. I don't care how long the fun takes. If I'm enjoying it, that's what I care about, right? I feel like that's what most of us care about. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care, everybody.